Welcome to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Season 3, Episode 38, which is also Episode 110. I am Rob, and with me is someone who was recently acquired by Atari, Hugh.
That's right. Now fully owned by the company that calls themselves Atari, along with many other recent pickups.
Yeah. So you're part of their Bitcoin hotel.
Their NFT hotel division is what I'm working on.
It's amazing.
It's where you get a token representing a room in a hotel. You don't actually get to stay in the hotel. You just have a token representing a reservation for the room.
Yeah, but you're the only one that has it.
Yes. Yeah, it works just like a regular hotel. People can only book one room at a time. But instead of staying in the room, you get an NFT of your appointment.
That is actually a good idea. What's been going on? We haven't talked in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. My new business, like I feel like our show is like 90% new business this week.
Yes.
So I think last time we talked, the topic of Mandrake Linux Gaming Edition came up, which was a 2001 Linux distribution that I never heard of. I see it's on archive.org, the very one we talked about. I don't know how archive, it has like it has Sims included, so I don't know how they get away with this stuff. But I did download it, and I might try it in a VM sometime.
Nice.
It's from 2001, so it should run in like a Windows XP sized VM pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
I was debating whether or not I should tease our year-end episode that's going to be probably next week.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be our worst episode ever, I think. We have this spreadsheet where we keep, like, when we organize the show notes before we record, we usually drop like 3 or 4 stories that aren't very good. And then we put them all in a spreadsheet. And at the end of the year, we may cover these stories that we decided not to talk about.
So it'll be the worst/best episode of the year.
Yeah, we'll see how those are. Let's see, real quick. I was reading, I guess in the past week, there was a Kotaku article about GameStop working conditions during the holidays this year. Did you read that?
Oh, yeah. It seems like a nightmare to work there, and people are just sad working there.
Yeah. Now, the thing that shocked me, really kind of shocked me the most, is they mentioned some locations they pay people $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Which I quit working there in 1996, which was 25 years ago for reference. When I quit working in 1996, I was making more than $9 an hour. Not more than $9 an hour adjusted for inflation. More than $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I punched in, I think I remembered what my old salary was, and I punched it into an inflation calculator, and that would be $19 an hour today, which is not like an awesome living, right? I mean, depending where you are in the country, maybe it is. But it's kind of a fair wage for, like, dealing with GameStop stuff.
Yeah.
So someone making $9 an hour today is the equivalent of $5 an hour in 1996, and the minimum wage in 1996 was $4.75.
Wow. Yeah.
So, like, every time I go anywhere, I just see help wanted signs. So I can't imagine this is going to be sustainable for them. Like, I get working around video games is more fun than working around luggage or shoes or any other retail store. But at some point, you've got to just make people are just going to make the jump. Like,
yeah.
Like, if I'm getting $15 an hour working at the luggage store instead of $9 an hour at GameStop, I think that's a pretty fair trade for most people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can only take so much. So if we have any listeners that work at GameStop, we would love to hear from you. Email at retrogameclub.net. We aren't.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, like I don't have anything against GameStop. I mean, clearly, like, you have to take these articles with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, the people making $9 an hour that are miserable are the ones that are going to make the most noise. And maybe in, some part of the country, $9 an hour is not bad. Again, I'm skewed because I live in the Chicago area, where if I put up a sign "Help Wanted, $9 an hour," I would just be laughed at, into oblivion, right? So it's a little bit different there, but it just doesn't seem. I was just calling it out because it just doesn't seem sustainable. Like, it seems like the idea of, hey, you get to work around video games, so we're not going to pay you anything. I think that'll only get you so far.
Yeah, and I think they also said in the article that turnover has been much bigger than it used to be. So people are getting sick of it.
Yeah. And then real quick, looping back to what I think was our first topic ever, I spent the evenings this week configuring Auto Bleem on my PlayStation Classic. So I used to use Bleem Sync, which was a good product. It's discontinued, so I'm not bashing on Bleem Sync. The developer stopped working on it. But you had to have a Windows PC to use it, which is really the weirdest thing about it. Because you would copy your games over, and then you would run like this program. It was a .NET app. I guess you could technically run it in Linux if you knew how to do that. That would then like discover the games and map the box art. But everything had to be like named very specifically. Like there was a lot of like, your game has to follow like this naming convention and the thumb. Like there's just a lot of stuff. And Auto Bleem, it's like copy this thing to a USB drive, copy your games to a folder called games. First time you boot it up, it'll just figure all that stuff out for you. And it really does.
Nice.
It really
so
does.
It's been working for you?
Yeah. I mostly did it so I could play Pepsi Man, which is actually a much more fun game than you would believe it to be. And also, like, it's so stupid. Like, I do it so I can play games I own. Like, I really want to play the X-Files game on PlayStation, but I really don't want to play it on a PlayStation because of PlayStation load times. So that's a game I'm planning to fire up probably over winter. We'll see. But it works great. Yeah, it's super easy. It's like I said, it's literally just copy stuff to USB drive, plug it into the PlayStation Classic, and you're good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I had a buddy tell me about that, and he was really raving about it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And once it's working, I don't. I haven't seen any performance issues or any reason why I would ever want to update, but I will keep an eye on the project. I'll click star here and see what else. And I think it might have some tools to like, what are these other PlayStation Classic things I was looking at also had like a Doom engine where you can just turn your PlayStation Classic into like a dedicated Doom player.
Well, that seems pretty simple. I mean, I think it uses some of the same libraries that RetroArch uses. So, and they have a Doom core in there. So, yeah, I think that would be pretty straightforward to do.
Yeah.
And that's good since we don't have any Doom running on things stories. I guess that was our Doom story of the episode.
Yeah. I think we already knew you could run Doom on the PlayStation Classic. I believe that was a known. I actually am running the PlayStation version of Doom on the PlayStation Classic. So
yeah.
That's about it, man. What have you been up to?
Jeez. Well, I had a note here. Something I always forget to talk about is, we don't have a Patreon or anything like that, and we just do this because we like talking about video games and playing them. And so just a quick reminder, one thing listeners can do for us to help us is really give us some stars and some reviews on whatever you listen to your podcasts on. It really does help get us higher up in algorithms to get more listeners, get recommended more. And also, if you share our episode on, whatever social networks you're on, it definitely could help us out, and we'd really appreciate it. But on the real stuff I've been doing, I went to a 7-year-old's birthday party at Marvin's Mechanical Museum, which is in Farmington, Michigan. That is it's kind of famous. Like Jason Scott has talked about it a lot. It's been around forever. And this guy, Marvin, who recently passed away, I think a year or two ago, and his son runs it now. He just was always bidding against the guy that runs Ridley's for all these weird old mechanical devices, like, those old-timey machines, like, see how long you could be electrocuted for, or, let me tell you a fortune, that kind of thing. So I took a ton of pictures there, a lot of really cool stuff there that you'll see nowhere else. But they also have some newer stuff that, like, my kid would like, the Sonic sit-down racing game and stuff like that. But while I was there, I got to play some of the new pinball machines that I haven't been able to play yet. So they had a ton. I only played each of them once or twice because they were a freaking $1 to play.
Oh, wow. So it's not free play. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they had the Mandalorian, Godzilla, which is new, Led Zeppelin, which is new, Ninja Turtles, which is new, and then Houdini, which I think is from the early 90s, mid 90s, I want to say. And they're all pretty good. I'd like to say out of those, I think I liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one the best, and the Led Zeppelin one the least, just because it didn't really have anything going on. But
how many songs did it have? Any variety in the songs, or was it just like...
I didn't get very far. I only heard like 2 songs, so I can't tell you. But surprisingly, I'd never played a Houdini before, and on all the forums, on Pinside, on any site you go to, everyone says Houdini's the best pinball machine ever. And I had never even seen it before. And I finally played it, and you know what? They're right. It is fantastic. It does these crazy things where, your ball goes in one end and shoots out the other like it's a magic trick type thing. I just really enjoyed this game. But I did really like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one too. I mean, they're all great, but those my quick pinball review there. And let's see what else. I recently just finished Skyward Sword. I mentioned last week that I thought, it was starting to feel like a proto Breath of the Wild, and wow, once you get to the ending, it definitely does. You and Zach were right, where you kind of have to get through the intro few hours to make it fun. I thought it was really hindered by the play mechanics, which is also like the whole point of the game, so I really can't get down on it for that. And do you remember having to get the champion shield? You have to do a crazy boss rush from the dragon in the desert.
Yeah. It's been a while, but I do remember that.
I mean, you really can't beat the game. I mean, you probably could beat the game without that, but I mean, it would be really annoying. And wow, there was a few things in the game where it just felt like they were just trying to make the game longer, you know. And I have a list of games.
A lot of areas.
Yeah. And I have a list of games I want to play. There's some old games that I've never played that I want to actually play. I got a whole pile of newer games. And so I've made a list. I've been on howlongtobeat.com a lot, and I'm narrowing down my list to hit there are so many games that only take 8 or 20 hours to beat. And so I have a list of a bunch of those that I'm going to try to stay away from the longer games for a while just to get through a few of those. Right now I'm playing Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, which is a PS4, PS5 game, and it is fantastic. Other than I was horrible at it at first because I kept using Skyward Sword mechanics, which does not work in any other game. And what else? 8-Bit Christmas. Did you end up watching that?
No. What's it on?
I forget.
I think it's on something I don't have. Okay, hold on. Well, HBO Max.
HBO Max, there you go.
Yeah.
It was not bad. I actually enjoyed it. I heard bad reviews about it, but I saw it recommended, and I figured, hey, at least my family could watch TV together instead of my kids just sitting on their tablets. And we had fun watching it. I really have nothing negative to say about it. I actually highly recommend it. I'll probably end up watching it again. I am not... I hope I don't make any enemies by saying this. I don't like the movie Christmas Story. I just don't think it's funny. It just doesn't really connect to me. Maybe it's not for, I don't know, my age group or something. But
right, because it's a baby boomer nostalgia film.
Yeah, and this I think is better. This one was made for me. So, and it's not just about Nintendo. It's about a lot of things. So I highly recommend it. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff to catch up on there. I guess we should start this podcast. We're only 20 minutes into our intro.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of news. So
True. Yeah, true.
So let's see. In the hardware section, an article I barely understand. Again, from Nicole.express, who we've talked about a few times. This is called Fun with Linedrawing, the Milton-Bradley Vectrex and PiTrex. So this is a very technical article about the Vectrex and how it works. And I understood about a third of it, but it looks cool. And
So pretty much
There's
this is a
screens.
hat for the Raspberry Pi, right? Where you plug it into your Vectrex and it acts as like an EverDrive as well?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen a couple different. I haven't seen this one, but I've seen some other like Pi hacks that work with the Vectrex. But this one, it looks like. I mean, from the pictures, that looks like a Pi Zero that conveniently is the size of a Vectrex card.
That is awesome.
And then load your own ROMs. For homebrew development, obviously would be a big deal. But then it does like other demos. It looks like there's a few other demos and stuff on there. So
Now, does it even need does it need the Vectrex motherboard or does it replace the whole mother? Like, does it act as a cart or does it act as a motherboard plus a cart?
yeah, yeah, I think the latter.
So you pretty much just need the screen and the controls.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh man, now I want a Vectrex.
Yeah, good luck.
They used to be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everything was cheaper before eBay or before people learned about some of these systems. I mean, I think even people who were into retro gaming, a lot of them probably didn't really know the Vectrex. Microvision's another one. I think even people who follow retro gaming a lot might not know what a microvision is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I barely do, and I have a retro gaming podcast.
Yeah. I own a microvision. I barely know what it is.
Let's see, what else? An instant Amiga or Atari ST in your browser. And I have clicked on these links, and you go to vAmiga or this pce.js/Atari. Those links are in this article, which is in our show notes, and each brings you to a cool user interface where you can inject a ROM and start playing some Amiga or Atari games or word processors or whatever you want to do, but it's very slick.
Yeah, pretty nice. And also, I've played with Apple versions of these before.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's JavaScript Apple emulators that work pretty well.
Yeah, what did I do? The PDP-11 one is kind of funny.
Okay.
Play some Space War. But yeah, highly recommend playing that one. Another story I'm not qualified really to talk about. Street Fighter II rebalanced over 17 years via a mod. So this fixes Akuma. Apparently, he cheats or something.
Yeah, it looks like his collision box on like punches is really absurd, where you don't actually have to come into contact with his arm for him to punch you.
Interesting. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Had I known that, I would have played Akuma more. Actually been a little bit better at Street Fighter.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently this mod adds a few other cool things, but yeah, that's in our show notes as well.
All right. So that was the homebrew and ROM hack section. What else we got here? Takedown letter pending. Fan footage of man-made Ocarina of Time in Unreal Engine. Yeah, this is definitely a takedown letter pending.
Yeah, I mean, this is gorgeous. It's 4K, HDR, other acronyms, and it is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be around much longer, but again, just make a new fantasy game. Once you start using Nintendo IP, it's I mean, you're really just asking for trouble.
Yeah, or it's just, like I say it all the time, or just remake something Sega did, and then you'll just get a job from Sega.
Mm-hmm.
It's as easy as that. Oh, by the way, did you see the, speaking of Sega, the Sonic 2 movie trailer?
No, I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
It looks fun. Did you watch the original movie?
No.
Oh, I actually like it.
Remember, I was about to buy tickets for it, and then the state of Illinois shut down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, I do recommend that.
Yeah, that was my I had every intention of seeing that movie. All right, and then our last kind of grab bag section here. Kind of sad news. The lead architect, this has been all over the news too, other gaming sites. The lead architect for the NES and Super Nintendo Masayuki Uemura passed away this week.
Yeah, really sad. He was also the producer of Ice Climber, Clue Land, and Soccer, Baseball, and Golf for Nintendo. So definitely a legend.
Mm-hmm. He was 78, I think. Was that what I read?
Yeah. I think it was pretty much natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really sad. I mean, he pretty much created my childhood. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not a name that you really knew. This wasn't like, Shigeru Miyamoto, right?
Yeah, I mean, Miyamoto would be Steve Jobs, and he would be, Woz. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
Much more the engineer than the artist. But I think my favorite, I have two favorite articles this week, right next to each other. This is a YouTube article on Modern Vintage Gamers YouTube channel. A closer look at the Sony PSP DTP-T1000 development kit. And what all that meant is this is a dev kit for the PSP, and it is gorgeous. It looks like a mini tower, like a PC tower, with a DVD drive plus a vertical UMD player. And you use a custom PSP that doesn't have a UMD drive as the controller. So you can also have the PSP's image come out of the VGA port in the back, or you could just use the PSP that's connected to it as the memory slot in the front, and USB slots for keyboard and mouse. It looks like this thing runs, I want to say like Windows 98. It looked like in the video.
The user interface is, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of Windows UI development in the past. Windows 98 seems too old because the PSP came out in the 2000s, but I mean, the style on the Windows is definitely very Windows 98 looking. It could be Windows 2000.
It could be, yeah.
But it doesn't look like XP running in like a Windows 2000 theme. That's the thing.
And I did a lot of Googling for this. And, well, first of all, if you want one, you could just buy one for $800. They're pretty expensive right now, if you want the PSP to come with it. I wanted to know what the inside of this was. And all the specs just say a MIPS 4000 chip at 333 megahertz, which is what is inside of the PSP. So I think it's just listing the PSP's specs and not the computer's specs. It did say it had 64 meg of RAM, but I don't know if that's what the PSP had. That seems high for a PSP.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I'm like, over on the Hard for Games channel, they have a review of the PlayStation 2 development kit. And it physically looks different. I'm trying to see if they get to the user interface on here, because I'm wondering if this is just the PlayStation 2 development kit, and that's why the OS is, an older version of Windows, because the PlayStation 2 dev kit probably used Windows 98. Right, because that came in 2001.
Yeah.
It maybe ran on Windows NT or something, I don't know. But I'm assuming their dev kit must have been a Windows 98 machine.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Huh. I wonder if that could be I wonder if you need this to actually code for PSP, meaning do you need the PSP plugged in, or can all this be done pretty much through emulators now?
I'm sure it can all be done through emulators at this point. Maybe there's some, like, I don't know. I've never looked into PSP development, but most consoles, you don't need a dev kit to compile games at this point.
No. Or you could just use BurgerLib.
You could possibly do that. Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know the details of what it takes to develop I think the UMD packaging is probably the hardest part. Like something that you could just download, like, because obviously there's a download capability on the PSP. Something you can just download and run off the PSP is probably not super hard to code. Like, I don't understand the hardware or any of that stuff, but it doesn't seem like just getting Hello World to run on PSP is probably not a lot of effort.
Yeah. But I thought that was a really, really slick looking device. A device that is not slick looking but is pretty cool is the WeeCee. So This is a link to circuitmaker.com. I found this through an LGR video that just came out. This device you cannot buy, but you can buy the specs and how to make it and a link to everything you need for it. He got an actual device made by the guy that did this, so he is lucky. But anyway, this is a little device about the size of a Raspberry Pi type thing that uses a, what is it called? Like a Vertex 86, I want to say. It's like a little SBC that runs on like a 586 type chip. I think it's at like 800 megahertz, but megahertz to megahertz, it's a little bit slower than Intel's, so it wouldn't really hold up to that. But this is pretty much a DOS gaming device. So you could do like Windows 95, Windows 98, DOS 5, whatever you want on this, and run a lot of cool stuff. Like you could run Quake or Doom or, any of the Sierra Online games. Yeah. It does not have a way to have a 3D accelerator, but it does have a really nice 2D chip. So, you could play Quake, but you're not going to get like the Voodoo type graphics, but really cool project. If you're good at soldering and you like PC gaming, I would go with this. It has a micro SD slot. It has the MIDI/game port slot and a PS2 slot. And I think a VGA out on the back, I want to say.
It's a VGA out, yeah.
Yeah, so really cool. Did you get a chance to, I know I just linked the schematics to this and didn't give you much of an explanation, but did you?
No, I really look at it. I don't know. I'm sort of dedicated DOS devices. Maybe like it would be nice to have like a PlayStation Classic type of system or NES Classic type of system that played DOS games in with zero configuration. But that seems like kind of that seems pretty unlikely.
Well, also, you could just have a dedicated Raspberry Pi that just boots to DOSBox.
You could do that too, yeah. Yeah.
But this is really cool, though. And it's just cool that it runs on some weird 586 chip that I've never heard of. What else do we have here?
See, Quake gets a co-op content update. I still have not played the Quake remake because I ordered the physical copy, so I don't know. I'm probably not getting it until next year.
Yeah. This is almost 800 megabyte patch.
Great. Nice. Significantly larger than the original game.
Yes.
What else? Liquid Kids is coming to Arcade Archives on Switch or whatever else Arcade Archives is on.
I recently just looked at that game. I've never heard of it before, but it looks nice. Nice little platformer.
Yeah,
have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's okay. I think I have it on one of these many Taito collections already.
Okay. And
what else? It's 2021, and someone wrote a new Windows 3.x mouse driver.
Yeah, so if you use VMware, you know how when you're using VMware, you just scroll your mouse over it and it takes over your mouse, or you could just scroll your mouse out of it and you get your mouse back. Yeah. Well, in this, in Windows 3.1, it doesn't work that way. You actually have to, I think, go to where the mouse icon is and click on it. It's something like that where it's really annoying. And this guy rewrote the drivers to fix that. He must have been so annoyed.
Apparently, yeah. I think, was it VirtualBox editions for VirtualBox does this for some versions of Windows, but probably not all the way back to 3.1.
Yeah, they probably didn't think anyone would boot up 3.1. That's funny.
Yeah. And something we alluded to earlier, Atari has apparently acquired MobyGames. I think it's not surprising that somebody bought MobyGames. So I've contributed a few things to MobyGames in the past, mostly credits for oddball games that they didn't have credits for.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, they usually get approved within a day or a week at the most. So about a year ago, I submitted some English credits for a game that was for a TurboGrafx game, blah, blah, blah. It was out in Japan. They had the Japanese credits, but they didn't have the English credits.
Mm-hmm.
So I submitted the English credits. And like a couple weeks ago, I got an email saying, hey, your submission was approved. And I'm like, when did I submit something? Like it had been over a year, and I forgot what I submitted in the first place.
Nice.
So they clearly are having some, I would say staff issues. Like obviously it's a volunteer site. I don't know anything about how like MobyGames is funded or operates. Like I know nothing about the internals. There must be some money involved. Someone must get paid to do maintenance. If it's all volunteer, I can see why it takes forever for stuff to get approved. I just don't know. But whatever the case, they are now apparently owned by the company that calls themselves Atari.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't realize before this article was MobyGames was bought before. It's not like the original MobyGames programmer, got 1.1 million pounds or however much Atari paid for this. It's whoever bought it from him. So maybe that company just stopped caring. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how does MobyGames make money? Do they have ads?
It's got to be ads. Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, because of Pi-hole, I can't tell which sites have ads sometimes.
That's a good
so
problem.
Maybe I'm part of the problem. I'm blocking all MobyGames ads. Let's see here. Hold on. Network F5. Hold on.
One thing I didn't realize. And apparently Soulja Boy declared he was the owner at one point.
Okay.
That's funny.
Was he?
No.
Okay.
He just says things.
Okay. Well, I don't know who that is. No, I do. I think I've heard one song. And then last but not least, Majora's Mask secret discovered 20 years after launch. And the secret is that the pattern of the stars in the sky is generated based on the name you enter for your save file.
I really like that. That's a nice little tidbit. I guess you got to find a randomizer somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a neat thing. Like you could just have the same sky for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I never noticed it being different, but I probably always put in Link or Rob.
This led me into a rabbit hole where someone created a Grand Theft Auto map that ties all three games maps together into one mega map.
That's awesome.
No, it's not awesome because they would have missions where it's like you have to start in like some remote part of the desert and make it like all the way across, 3 other cities. And then like if you fail because like the game glitches out, you have to start all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah. That is funny.
Like I don't care how glitchy the remakes are. If they just fix that one thing, San Andreas would be a much, much better game.
Yeah. And did they fix it in the remake? I don't even know.
I thought they added. I think what they said was they don't do mission checkpoints like GTA 5 does. Right? So GTA 5, if you fail, you can pick up somewhere in the middle of the mission, but they will send you back to the beginning of the mission automatically.
Okay. That's at least a little bit better.
It's slightly better, yes.
Well, we had the Cougans pick our game club games this week. You feel like going through them?
Yeah. So Miss Pac-Man, I assume everybody knows what Miss Pac-Man is.
I would hope so.
It's a really good concept for like, I mean, this wasn't the first game sequel ever, but it's sort of like, you can see the evolution of how game sequels work through the Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and then all the stuff after it.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I've noticed with game sequels is like, most of the time, the first sequel is very, very close to the original game. It's like the original game, but with like some, quality of life improvements and extra levels, updated graphics. It's just sort of like a improved version of the game. And then for the third one, I don't know if like the developers get bored or they don't want to keep working on the same game engine, but like sequels after the second tend to be like Bizarro Land compared to the first. I mean, think of like Donkey Kong to Donkey Kong Jr. to Donkey Kong 3.
Yeah, or Mario to Lost Levels to USA.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a very weird one. because they're using a game that was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto but wasn't meant to be a Mario game originally.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. But like Pac-Man, you got Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and then I don't know what the next Pac-Man game was after Miss Pac-Man, but it was something that went completely off the rails. It was probably Baby Pac-Man or Pac and Pal. I don't think Junior Pac-Man was the next direct sequel.
Let's see, I think Baby Pac-Man I think was 81. So that would kind of have to be next, right?
So yeah, Pac-Man was the first game, and then Miss Pac-Man was the first official sequel. I was actually surprised at what the next sequel was. It is Pac-Man Plus. And then
Mr. What comes after that
Pac-Man.
one?
Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man.
I've never played that.
That's a pinball game, so maybe that doesn't count. And then next up, I was right in my going off the rails theory here. Baby Pac-Man.
Yeah, there's well off the rails onto a pinball board, yeah.
Yeah, and then Junior Pac-Man is way after that. You see, but after Baby Pac-Man, you have Super Pac-Man, which I really like. Pac and Pal, Professor Pac-Man. It's a weird game. Then Junior Pac-Man, finally, which kind of reverts back to the original formula. Yeah.
And one piece of trivia that, while I was researching this game a little bit, I found is that in 2008, General Computer Corporation won in court. So General Computer Corporation actually coded Miss Pac-Man as kind of a ROM hack type deal. I'm sure a lot of you know the story. If not, you could look it up. In 2008, they won in court that they get to residuals from ports. So since 2008, Miss Pac-Man hasn't been on a lot of things because Bandai Namco hasn't wanted to pay them.
Oh, jeez.
But recently it was released on something, and we also have that Pac-Man museum coming out. So I guess they've come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ownership rights around Miss Pac-Man are definitely weird.
So what versions or ports did you play this time?
I usually play I like the console ports. That's mostly what I wanted to talk about. I think everyone knows the arcade Miss Pac-Man pretty well. In the 90s, Tengen did a number of ports, some official, some not. They did an NES port, Genesis, Super Nintendo, I think Game Gear in there too. And that version is crazy. It has the original arcade boards. I mean, it plays a little bit different because it's a conversion. Overall, it's pretty accurate, not perfect, but pretty close to the arcade. But then they add all these absurd extra levels. You can play extra large mazes or extra small mazes or crazy mazes. And then there's a mode where Miss Pac-Man moves at 1.5 times normal speed, which is super easy. You just want an easy game, you can do that. But just a bunch of additions. And I think it's fun. Yeah. It's a little bit weird, but it's kind of neat to go and try these other just totally off the wall levels. Mm-hmm. I really didn't play the arcade version this time around.
Neither did I. But did you play any other ports this time?
Nope, just the 16-bit ports and the unofficial NES port, which is the Tengen one. There's an official port by Namco or whoever.
Yeah.
But, Tengen and their whatever it is they did.
Yeah, I only played the official port for NES and it was fine, but I also played the Atari 2600 port, which is the Miss Pac-Man from my youth, and it doesn't look the best, but it plays really well. It's a really fun game with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a really good port, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's boxier and all that stuff, but they, did a good job with the music and the sound effects, and it plays fine. It's fun. As a young kid, I thought it looked exactly like the arcade. You know what I mean? Because you never saw them right next to each other. I don't know if I have much more to say about Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, I have so many. If you want to play the worst version of Miss Pac-Man ever, I just turned my camera off. Let me turn it back on here. Although we are showing audio or video. What is it? It's video. We aren't showing video to anyone. I'll show you this, though. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. This is Keychain Miss Pac-Man. Uh-huh. It's Miss Pac-Man on a keychain. this is the worst way to play Miss Pac-Man. Because it's about a 1-inch screen, and it plays at like about half speed. Ooh,
what ROM do you think it is?
It's the arcade. I'm pretty sure it's the arcade. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I have this thing on max brightness. Okay. See, that's the arcade. Oh, batteries. Yeah, the battery's pretty low in this. I gotta change the battery. Whoop. It's rebooting constantly because the battery's dying. I haven't played this in a while. But yeah, it's not a very good... It looks cool, but it's not very practical.
Yeah. Next, we have Batman Returns. It's on the Sega CD. It is from the movie Batman Returns, and originally came out on Genesis as a cart, but on Sega CD, they added this car mode and a bunch of like Redbook audio samples and music. The Sega Genesis part of it is a side-scrolling platform, kind of beat-em-up game, and I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this game. It got mixed reviews when it originally came out. It was coded by Padded Cell Studios, which used to be Malibu Interactive for Sega of America, who also coded... What else did they do? They did Cal Ripken Jr., David Robinson, Batman Returns, Cliffhanger, NBA Action 94, and 3 Ninjas Kickback.
So they did a few Sega CD games there.
Yes, and the Smurfs, yeah. So none of them are great games. Oh, they did Joe Montana Football, not a horrible game. Yeah, so the driving part of this game is kind of fun. It's kind of an outrun type thing where they use a lot of sprite scaling and stuff like that, and you're shooting cars and motorcycles, and there's bosses that look like the Joker's, I don't know, truck thing that has some kind of jack in the box like trying to get you. So you and it's just ridiculous, but it's kind of fun. The side scrolling part is the part I just can't get with. It looks very nice. You could tell Batman fans coded this and put a lot of effort into it, at least in the artwork. This game looks beautiful. It just doesn't play well enough for me to want to play that long. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I went the route of watching a speed run. Although there are no speed runs for the Sega CD version. There are speed runs only for the Genesis version, and there's exactly one. And looking through speedrun.com, if you wanted to become if you want to set the record for like most speed runs, you could just speed run every Sega CD and like TurboGrafx CD game. Your times wouldn't have to be good, but you'd be the leaderboard on all of them.
That's awesome.
No one speed runs those systems. Like Sonic CD, I think is the only Sega CD game I saw a speed run for.
Oh, and I was going to say that brings something up about the Sega CD port of this, where it has different modes. So you get brought into a screen that looks like like an interface within the Batmobile, and you move Batman's hand around the interface. And so you can make it so it's only the platform levels or only the driving levels or both. There's different modes of difficulty, I think. And there was a few other things you could switch. I thought that was pretty forward thinking, but yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it looked okay. It looks like a lot of other Genesis platformers.
It had beautiful backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. Like really well-drawn backgrounds. The action, I don't know, maybe not as good as Revenge of Shinobi, or definitely not, and not the worst by any stretch, but just kind of average Sega CD platformer, really, or Sega Genesis platformer.
And I could see why Keith Coogan brought this one up, because if you had a Sega CD back when they were new, and this was one of the few games you actually owned for it, in 2021, thinking back, you might think like that was a really great game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it was because, like I said, it was a paper game, paper box game. It came in like a cardboard box. Oh, let me look at the Electronics Boutique 1992 Christmas catalog here.
I think it started at $50.
Yeah, the card is $51.99 in this catalog.
Okay.
And yeah, there's Sonic. Control F, CD. There's Super Nintendo. Aha! Here we go. Batman Returns. Yeah, there it is with the paper box, and it is $49.99. It's $2 cheaper than the cartridge version.
Wow. Yeah, I guess CDs are cheaper to make than carts.
Yeah. So on the same page, you have the Sega CD player for $299.99. In excess, make my video $59.99.
That's
more
crazy.
Than Batman Returns. Joe Montana, $49.99. Marky Mark, starring Mark Wahlberg, $39.99. Black Hole Assault and Willie Beamish. There's your early Sega CD lineup. Yeah.
In excess costs more than Marky Mark.
Yeah, I mean, In excess, I guess in 1993, they were. Well, I mean, they were only a year away from like the singer dying, probably.
Yeah. They were more established, though. Yeah.
They were much more established. I mean, Marky Mark was a one-hit wonder as a rapper. I assume has made more than In Excess by an incredible margin at this point.
Yes. That's funny.
Clearly, rap was not his long-term career plan there.
Yeah. So what do you want to play next?
Yeah, so I'm going to pick something short. Like, we're going to do one more episode this year, so I'm going to pick something that's a fairly short game, and then something longer for the winter break. I'm going to pick Dragonfire, which I've had on my list for a while, and I'll throw out the disclaimer right away that there's a good chance I'm picking a terrible game that I only remember as being good.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to try it out. I'm going to do... We had a lot of good feedback from the last Game Boy selection I did, so I'm going to do another one. Donkey Kong 94, a game I've wanted to spend some really time with. Yeah.
That's a solid pick.
If any of our listeners play Donkey Kong 94, Dragonfire, Batman Returns, Miss Pac-Man, has any cool projects or news or any retro things they want to talk about, please email us. email@retrogameclub.net. That is email@retrogameclub.net. We have our link tree in our show notes, so you could see our Facebook and Instagram and everything else we have, Twitter. And we have a lot of email this week. I think I could take this first one from Adam. He writes in saying he enjoyed playing Kid Nicky Radical Ninja. He played it on his NT Mini, which is how I played it as well. He lasted about 15 minutes. I think he had the same reaction we did, where it was like, this is okay. I can't wait till the music changes. And then it doesn't, and it sucks your will to live. So he bounced off that pretty quick. He also played another Game Club selection, which was Lego Star Wars, but he played it on GameCube, which is the better port of that. He loved playing co-op with his son when his son was younger, and the graphics do really hold up today and it's still entertaining. He enjoys our magazine read episodes, which I do as well. And he has a story that his grandma was a lifetime JCPenney employee, which got her a lifetime employee discount card of 30% off, even on items that were on sale, which, I mean, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is back when like working retail was like a career, like, you put on like a suit.
Yeah.
I assume, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so they would go there a lot during Christmas and get an extra game or two, which, yeah, that sounds like a good hookup. He also played Super Mario Land 1 and 2 on Game Boy, and he found the first game a little bit slow and the sprites were too tiny, and he switched over to Mario Land 2, which was much better, had bigger sprites, and it just felt like a Mario game. But he does want to go back to Super Mario Land 1 and give it another chance because he knows it's a good game. It just, wasn't maybe what he didn't think it would be. And he didn't own a Game Boy growing up, but his parents got him a Turbo Express, and he missed being able to trade Game Boy games with his friends. And I want to say, Adam, your parents chose wisely. You didn't miss anything. A Turbo Express is far, in my opinion, far superior.
Yeah. It depends what you want to play, I guess.
Yeah, but I love the Turbo Express. He also played Gorf, which was one of our Game Club games. He played it on the ColecoVision and the Atari 2600. The 2600 doesn't look great, but the gameplay was still there. He calls Gorf a Galaxy Invaders, which I like that term. Maybe that'll stick. And he likes the level up system and the ranks you get and all that stuff. And he looks forward to becoming a space adventure one day. Gorf has been one of his favorite games to play, and Champ is making a remake for the 2600, and it's adding a co-op mode, which I did not know about that, I don't think. So that's really cool. We're going to have to check that out. And then, he talks about that Vectrex, the PiTrex thing that we talked about in the news. I don't know if we got that. Did we get that from his email or did we already have
I just
okay.
No, I had because I followed that site in my RSS.
Oh, okay.
I'm old school. I don't have any of this fancy social media stuff, but I follow like 100 sites on RSS.
It's probably easier than what I do. But so he talks about that and says it looks really cool, which I agree. Miss Pac-Man, he played a bunch of versions, 7800, Sega Master System. He said both those felt pretty close to the arcade, and then the Sega Genesis port sounded very close to the arcade, and he shot us a few pictures of the Game Gear port and the Sega Master System port, and they all look really good. And it's also because you sent these to us that I did not play those, because I got to see these pictures, so I was like, I'll just play something different. So Adam, thank you for that email. That was a great one.
All right. He did some really good screenshots comparing these versions. Majors writes in about a few things that we talked about. So so I talked about things to do while waiting for games to install on newer consoles and patches, and he uses it as a time to clean cartridges, which that seems like a good use of time too. You could do almost anything. You could like bake a roast,
do push-ups,
mow the lawn, I couldn't do push-ups the entire time a game was installing, but that's a perfectly valid thing too. Refinance your house. Some of these installs are pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
As for Atari Jaguar, we were talking about some recently about some good games on Jaguar. He of course recommends Tempest, which I'm going to pick as a Game Club game pretty soon. Tempest 2000 or 3000. Says the catalog topics are really good, except unless you're listening in the car and then you can't follow along. Yeah, I mean you could. It just wouldn't be safe or legal.
Yeah, I'm sure Tesla has that mode.
Yeah, I'm sure in a Tesla you can read a magazine while driving and then die in a high-speed crash.
Yeah.
And one of the video cards that we talked about, he says he recently picked up for $20 to repair a Taito arcade cabinet for Darius Burst.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess some of those video cards probably get used in other places. Says Burnout Crash Mode also agrees it's the best part of the game, and it's very similar to something called Vanishing Point, where the game is very, very dull until you unlock the stunt mode. I don't know Vanishing Point. Recently came across an article for a PC Engine thing called Active Life Network, which was one of these video dating services, but on PC Engine CD.
Nice.
I did follow this link he sent us. Did you see this?
No, I haven't.
It's bizarre. So the developer is the same people who did the Ultrabox samplers. That much I got out of it. And the Ultrabox stuff is just weird too. It's really bizarre. I wrote an article about reviewing the Ultrabox games. And this is equally as bizarre. So it's similar to like one of these things where you would send your photo in and a description, and then I don't know, somehow people can date you maybe. I don't know. I don't know how any of that works. I've never tried dating via a CD-ROM before. It seems like a much slower version of Tinder, I guess. So this is the funniest thing I've seen in a while. It would be curious if anyone actually met like their future spouse on one of these.
I mean, oh man, you have your dating profile on CD-ROM forever. It's not like a site that you could just delete or something.
Mm-hmm. That is a good point. Like one day your kids can get into retro gaming and find the dating CD that you are on.
Exactly. Yeah.
He mentions in college they use the PlayStation Link cable to play Wipeout and Ridge Racer with 2 TVs on either side of a doorway so you could not see your opponent's screen.
All right.
That had to be a long link cable then make it around.
But yeah.
Basically, it sounds like the TVs are right next to the doors. You had to move the TVs next to the doors so that you could wrap the cable around.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could picture that. That would actually be pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Then he mentions the interview we did on the last episode and about how it's a big downward spiral of buying arcade cabinets once you start.
It really is. Because then you just have that one arcade cabinet all alone. You need a set.
Yeah. And then he also sends us some photos from a fighting game tournament in Orlando called CEO. I assume that's an acronym for something. And this looks kind of cool. I was actually looking at the screenshots, the photos he sent here. Looks like they've got some Saturns. I mean, they've got a lot of arcade cabinets, obviously. But then they also do some consoles. So I see definitely a Saturn. It's also a Saturn. I mean, Saturn was a good system for one-on-one fighters, so I could see why that's a featured one there.
Well, if anyone was playing Akuma, they were cheating.
That is true. And what's our last email here? Eric from Pacific Northwest. So thank you, Majors, again, for the email. And Eric wanted to share some thoughts about the 20th anniversary of the GameCube. So he originally got the GameCube bundle that came with the Zelda Collector's Edition. Unfortunately, he traded most of his Dreamcast stuff to pay for it. Which, yeah, I can see that being a later
I think
regret.
that Zelda Collector's Edition is pretty pricey right now.
Which one is that? Is it one of these? I have this one, Zelda Collector's Edition.
So what's on that one?
And then I have another one, also called Zelda Collector's Edition.
Which one is from?
It says Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask.
Is there one with the
I believe
demo of Wind Waker on it? That's the really expensive one.
This one includes playable demo of Wind Waker.
That's a really expensive one right now. Yeah.
And this other one includes playable demo of Wind Waker.
Yeah, you could you could sell that either of those for a lot of money right now.
Not to be confused with the Zelda Majora's Mask bonus disc.
Yes.
Which contains some but not all of the same games.
Yeah, those are hot items right now.
I got them both for free.
It's awesome.
It was like a pre-order bonus with like other Zelda games. It wasn't even like a big deal. It's like pre-order Wind Waker, get this thing. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Pre-order Twilight Princess, get this thing. Something like that, yeah. Anyways, he said he mostly played Time Splitters, Smash Bros, Double Dash, and of course Resident Evil 4. Nowadays he has a GameCube with a Xeno chip, which lets you remove region lock and place backups in quotes.
Uh-huh.
And his backlog includes Eternal Darkness, Ikaruga, Mario Golf, Resident Evil 0, and Beautiful Joe. Some of those are on my backlog too.
Yeah.
And I guess we had a social media question about arcade cabinets, that you'd like to own. And he would really like the Marvel vs. Capcom, the one-up Marvel vs. Capcom one. And then he has a question for us and our listeners. Favorite 90s PC RPG? Like Diablo, Baldur's Gate, Daggerfall. For him, he says it's a tie between Fallout 2 and Baldur's Gate.
I like that. Maybe Zach could put that up as a listener question of the week. Yeah, and I think, so you know how you said you're probably going to have a longer game for the Christmas break? I was actually debating I might be doing Diablo for that.
Okay.
Nothing says the holidays like slaying some demons, right?
Yeah. I was thinking of that. I was thinking it's been a long time since I've played Beavis and Butthead Virtual Stupidity. Are you familiar with that game?
I know it. I haven't played it.
So this is also why I was thinking of the PlayStation Classic. There is a Japanese version of that game. You can play it on Windows 95 in America.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, it got ported to PlayStation, but only in Japan, which makes zero sense. But somewhat, this is what I was thinking about it, because on romhacking.net, someone recently released a patch that takes like the dialogue and stuff from the Windows 95 version, like the spoken dialogue and the text and all that stuff, and merges it into the PlayStation version.
Okay.
So you can patch the Japanese ROM to English now and play it on like a PlayStation Classic.
I didn't even know Beavis and Butthead was a thing in Japan. Like just them and a Japanese, like Beavis and Butthead and the Japanese language don't seem compatible to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but clearly they had enough of a following in Japan that someone thought to put it there.
Yeah.
I've been told by you, because I work with a lot of people from other countries. I've been told that things that fit the dumb American genre are very popular in foreign countries.
Okay.
So I could see Beavis and Butthead being popular.
It's definitely dumb American.
Right. Like it's funny. Like I've talked to like people who grew up in countries like, well, I was like India or Pakistan, that kind of stuff. And like the American movies, they know. I mean, like they know Dumb and Dumber, right? They know a lot of these movies again, or where the premise is, here's some dumb Americans. It just seems to be like, it's probably it's probably a stereotype, probably funny, like if you're the dominant culture in the world, or one of the, two most dominant countries in the world, I can see why other countries would want to have some laughs at your expense.
Yeah. I don't blame them at all.
All right, some social media questions. Some feedback on Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo version. This was a very, very fun beat 'em up game, and the graphics were very impressive for the console for the time, but it was extremely difficult. It said it was nice to look at while you were losing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I bounced off it pretty quickly because I was like, this is so pretty, but no thanks.
Must have arcade cabinets. We got a lot of answers here. Someone would like all the Nintendo arcade cabinets, Star Wars Cockpit, Sit Down X Run, Point Blank X. I don't know Point Blank X. Mappy Cocktail Cabinet. That would be fun. Stun Raider gets a vote. Motor Raid.
Stun Runner. Yeah.
Stun Runner. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Cruisin' USA, Mario Kart GP, the Nintendo versus Tent model. Nintendo versus Tent would be a very fun game. I'm just going off that title. But he's talking about the tent style.
Yes.
8-player Daytona USA. Oh, I have to know 7 other people. Arcade version of Turtles in Time. And assuming it's a magic cab that never breaks down, I would take the full motion Space Harrier. Wow. Yeah. I would throw up trying that. Or the old sit-down Star Wars Vector. Joust gets a vote. Warlord gets a vote. And someone answers all of them.
Yes, which is also the right answer. We,
just get one.
In those, there's a YouTube video on how to convert a 1-up Star Wars cab into a sit-down environmental. They also just 1-up came out with a sit-down outrun. So those you can make yours for not too much money.
I don't know if I've seen a full motion Space Harrier in person. I've seen pictures of them. I don't know if I've actually ever seen one.
Yeah, it's a thing of beauty.
Let's see. Joe sent us some feedback about the Sega Channel homebrew. He said it took a while to figure out how to get them to run, but it was really neat once it did. And he mentions that his wife apparently had Sega Channel back in the day.
That's awesome. I'm jealous.
Yeah. And then cramming a DS inside of things. Someone sent us a picture of the 2 DSs that they crammed together. He had 2 broken DSs, but luckily they were different halves that were broken.
That looks pretty good. I like the green-white color thing.
The colors match is nice. Yeah, it's got this very kind of evergreen theme going.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think that is everything.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the feedback this time, guys.
Yeah. And again, email at retrogameclub.net. And we have all social media. And as always, we appreciate Zach's work in maintaining those pages.
Write some reviews and give us some stars. Help us get on those recommendation engines. Help us beat the AI.
Yes. All right. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.